Right, it's good.
Wait, so it's recording now?
Alright, Mr. Dempster, you want to hear a joke? Why is 360 degrees more greedy than all the other ones? Because he has to have two pies. Haha, laugh, Evan. Alright, this is for you. This is cosine graphs for dummies 101. We're trying to figure out, we're trying to model the distances that the moon is from the Earth. So we start with a perigee. Perigee is the farthest distance that the moon is from Earth, and that's 252,000 feet. This is all in feet, the distance. And this is the y-axis, or f of x. This is the x-axis. X is the number of days. Well, it's the day. And so the way we draw a cosine graph, which we know it's a cosine, the period is from perigee to perigee, and that's 27.5 days. And so the problem is, from perigee to perigee is 27.5 days. Apogee is the closest distance the moon is to Earth, which is 225,000. Just to make it easier later, the difference between these is 238,500. That's plus about 13,500. That's just for later. So the way you draw the cosine graph is you start here. So perigee, farthest distance, 252,000. The next perigee is going to be the same distance. The apogee, however, is the closest distance, the lowest distance. So we draw the graph like this. And we know it's a cosine graph because it starts, there's a midline, the graph starts above the midline. If it was a sine graph, it would start here and go like that. So usually the period would be 2 pi, but on here it's 27.5. You can do that for a lot of different things in nature, but this is the distance from the moon to the Earth. Alright, so what's the next thing we do? Okay, making the equation. So how do we make an equation off of this? Pretty easy. All sine and cosine graphs have a similar equation. F of x equals a, in this case cosine b x plus c plus d. Actually, it's minus c. I'm doing one take here. Alright. That's a d. I don't know how to draw, obviously. This is not drawing, it's writing. How do I write? I don't know. So we already know, because this cosine graph, the c is the first one I'll do because it's easiest. The c is measuring how far it moves from the origin left or right. And because it's not moved from the origin left or right on this axis, then c is going to be 0 automatically. So we don't have to worry. A is the amplitude. So it's this distance, but it's divided by 2. So it's basically the distance from the midline to the top or the midline to the bottom. As I said earlier, that's 13,500, because when you subtract these two, you get this. When you subtract this number from this, you know the distance between them is that much. So that's going to be A. Fx equals 13,500 cosine. Now what's B? B is going to be representing the period. So the period is 2 pi over b. But in order to divide, doing the math, it ends up being